All right, we're going to do a couple more problems with multiplying and dividing with powers of 10. So you can see there's an example that's already been done for you. So 4 and 582 thousandths times 10, and they've placed the number on the place value chart like we've been doing. And because it is times 10, the digits shift to the left one place, making it 10 times bigger. So each digit is 10 times greater. And if you'll notice, the digits don't change when we're multiplying by powers of 10. We still have a 4, 5, 8, and 2. Just their place value changes. So we'll go ahead and do the next one. 7 and 281 thousandths times 100. So first I'm going to write it on the place value chart. And it is important that you get it in the correct spot to start out with, because that's going to affect your answer. If you don't have it in the correct place on the chart, then whenever you start moving the digits, it's not going to be correct. So this time, since it's times 100, that lets us know we moved twice on the place value chart. So I'm going to start with the 7. So if I moved it over to the tens place, that would be once. But since it is times 100, I have to move it over twice. So I move it over to the hundreds place. And then everything else just follows behind it. So you can see the answer is going to be 728 and the 1/10. All right, so we'll go ahead and do this next one, which is times 1,000. So again, I need to make sure to get it correctly placed on the chart. So 9 ones, 2/10, 500ths, and then 4 thousandths. And then since this is times 1,000, I know, the 3 zeros tells me that I need to move it 3 places. So it gets 1,000 times bigger. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, and then to my third place. So the 9 ones is now in the thousandths place. And then everything else follows behind it. So I move the 2 over, then the 5, then the 4. So I end up with 9,254. All right, so now we're going to try some division problems. And so you can see they have done the first one, and they divided by 10. So instead of moving to the left, we move to the right. So that's what we're going to do with these division problems. And since that went through, I'm going to go ahead and get a new page. So now we've got 678 divided by 100. So this one doesn't have a decimal to start out with. So I know it's 600s, 7 tens, and 8 ones. Now I am dividing by 100, so that means I have to shift it 2 places, and I'm moving to the left, or the right this time, I'm sorry, the right whenever we're dividing, because it gets smaller when we're dividing by powers of 10. So I'm moving 2 places to the right. So the 8 comes over to the hundredths place. So that's going to be 2 places. Then I've got the 7 and then my 6. So when you do that, you see that it ends up being 6 and 78 hundredths. So the same digits, they're in the same order, just their value has changed. Now we've got 67 divided by 1,000. So again, we don't have a decimal. So 7 ones, 6 tens. Since we're dividing by 1,000, we move over 3 places. So the 7, I'm going to move it over 3 places. Then I move the 6, follow it right behind it. And since I don't have anything in the tenths place, I can't just leave this as 67. That we started out with 67. So if I just wrote 67 without any place value, that's not going to be correct. I have to remember I've got my decimal point. But since I don't have anything in the tenths place, I do have to put a 0 here, because this does show that I've divided by 1,000. If I didn't put a 0, it would look like my answer was 67 hundredths, but that's not the case, because we've got no tenths. So it actually has to be 67 thousandths. And I could also put a 0 in the ones place. So you see, this is not the same thing as this. 67 hundredths is going to be more than 67 thousandths. But we